Hello guys, welcome to today's video. As an interviewer at McKinsey, I did interview more than 100 candidates and I did realize a few patterns, few strategies that helped determine who is being good at an interview versus who is not so good and what made that difference. So in this video, I'm going to talk through a few strategies that you can potentially implement to crack these interviews. Well, a quick disclaimer, these are going to be on the advanced interviewing skills side. All right. So if you want me to make a video on basic interviewing skills, please do let me know in the comments box. I will do that. Okay. So the three strategies that we are going through today are: number one, content with respect to communication; number two, understanding the interviewer; and number three, how can you be a good storyteller? Okay, so let us get started right away with the video. Whenever we have an interview, what is the first thing that we do? We immediately start searching for questions. It could be Glassdoor, it could be Geeks for Geeks, or any other website. Our whole objective is to search for potential questions and then draft answers. If we have more time, what do? We'll search for more questions and then we'll start drafting answers. Our entire preparation is revolving around questions and answers, right? And we get obsessed with the content that, hey, am I prepared or not? Do I need to go and prepare for some more content or not? Correct? Nothing else. We don't care about anything else. And that is where the problem lies. If a question comes in an interview, we are ready to answer 100 things about it. But we forget the fundamental fact that the interviewer is going to remember only 2 or 3 things about what you have mentioned. Let me illustrate to you with an example. Here you go. You might ask me a question that, hey Pawan, what is your experience been with YouTube so far? Here's a good answer. Hey guys, so my experience has been pretty good. I have been doing videos on the topics that I know very well: consulting, careers, studying abroad, a few things like that. I hope that I can add value through this entire experience and also learn some things. Number 3, it's a pretty tiring and also it's a lot of hard work, but I'm really enjoying this challenge at the moment. Do you have any questions about any of these things as of now? Now let me answer you the same question in another way. Hey guys, the journey of this particular channel has been pretty good. I've started 10 days back and I've been making a video every day since. And I realized that it is very tricky. I got a lot of equipment. Some of them didn't work. Some of it is working. As you have noticed, probably I've got a new mic too. And by the way, I also wanted to venture into something different through these videos. I probably learn something and I'll also share something so that mutually we both can learn. And accordingly, I can go on and on and on, right? What are the stuff that you remember from the first answer versus second answer, right? Think about it. You can go on and on and on for as long as you want, but the interviewer is not going to remember a single thing about what you have mentioned. Okay. So it is not only about the content that you are ready to share, but it is also about how you are sharing it. You need to communicate the important points in a precise way and let the interviewer speak as well. What did I do in my first sample answer? Specifically towards the end, I mentioned that, hey, do you have any questions? I did not keep the conversation too long. I just kept it for 30 seconds probably, and I'm asking the interviewer if he or she has any questions. In the second one, I'm just going on and on and on. It's becoming a monologue. Well, who enjoys a monologue, right? We need to have a conversation with the interviewer. It is not just about the content. Hey, I'm not talking about a casual conversation. Your conversation should still be pretty formal, but it is important to understand that the other side of the table is also a human and they also enjoy conversations, but it's not just about monologues all the time. Okay. So taking a step back, the most important thing is not only your content. I'm not saying that, hey, completely ignore the content. The content has to be decent. No questions about that, but also don't ignore the entire angle of how you communicate this answer to the interviewer. Moving on, the second point that I want to talk about is about understanding the interviewers themselves. You might say that, hey Pawan, it is easy for you because you yourself have been an interviewer. Yes, that is true. But let me tell you a few tricks, a few tips through which you can also understand the interviewer. Taking a step back, why do you even need to understand an interviewer? Because some interviewers might be interested to learn about your knowledge in a specific area, and some others might be interested in understanding how you react to pressure situations, right? So, understanding these differences will help you answer better and probably realize the fact that for some questions you need to be 9 on 10, and for some questions you can be 5 on 10 and still be okay. Let me illustrate you through an example. An interviewer has asked me this question and let me share my response. Hey Pawan, what has been your most successful leadership experience? I'll say that, by the way, 6 months back, I was supposed to build a team for one of the new products that we were about to launch. And unfortunately, it was very hard for us to find a specific resource with a specific skill set. Immediately, what I tried to do was understand what are the skills of folks that are currently working on other projects. And I identified somebody who is probably not a 100% match, but at least a close 80%. So I motivated that person. I asked him what can we do so that he can push himself. I told him the entire backstory of how it could probably help him, benefit him, and I pushed him to learn new things, and ultimately he helped us and we could successfully launch the project on time. Now, if it's a stress interview, the interviewer might ask me, hey Pawan, what if there was no resource? What would you have done? I would have said probably I would have went to Upwork and probably tried to freelance that particular work. If you don't find on Upwork, what will you do? Probably I will learn myself that skill and probably I'll start working on it. Hey, if you don't have time, what will you do? I'll have to think about some other options like cutting down that work stream. The interviewer might go on and on and on and on and say, if this is not possible, what will you do? If this is not possible, what will you do? The interviewer is not looking for a final answer because the interviewer themselves probably don't know what that final answer is. They are just testing you again and again and again so that, see, when will you break down and say that, hey, I don't know what I want to do? That's a classic stress interview. The other line of interviews might be where, hey, in this entire experience, by the way, I don't like this experience, by the way. Can you speak about a different experience? After narrating this entire thing, you will probably be demotivated and say that, hey, all the answer that I have given probably is not right. So I might have to start again with a fresh experience, right? So these are the interviewers where the interviewer is not necessarily testing you for the skill. The interviewer is testing you for how good do you handle stress situations. If it's a knowledge-based interview, the interviewer might be asking, oh, that's interesting. So what exactly did you tell to motivate that individual, right? So the interviewer is asking you deeper and deeper questions. Whereas in the first scenario, the interviewer is asking you alternate questions, alternate line of questioning. So you need to understand this difference between the interviewers to actually perform better. You will realize very quickly that, hey, whatever I say, no matter whatever I say, this person is continuously asking questions. So let me probably take a spin and say that, hey, by the way, I am running out of ideas, but I would gladly take your help and say, what will you do in that situation? Right? The answer, most probably there won't be an answer from the interviewer. But that's a very, very tricky thing to do. Okay. So you need to understand what is the interviewer and what is the nature of the interviewer and where are they coming from. So moving on to the final point about storytelling. So a quick disclaimer, guys, storytelling is not easy. Okay. You might believe that, hey, everybody is recommending go tell stories in your interviews. Well, that might be true, but telling good stories in an interview is difficult. Okay. So please do tell stories in an interview only if you believe that you are good at it. And how can you be good at it? 2 or 3 ways. Number 1, you need to really know what are the 2 or 3 important highlights that you want to communicate through your story. If you don't know what those highlights are, it's absolute waste of time for both you and also for the interviewer because you will be speaking in circles. Number 2, you should also know the fact that the chances of you bombing a story in an interview are much higher. So practice. So continue to practice quite a bit, rehearse your stories, tell it to yourself, tell it to your friends, family members, and only then go and speak about these stories in the interviews. Without practice, it is absolutely difficult for you to tell a story in the interview in the best possible way for the first time. Okay, so keep these two things in mind. Now, the third thing, if you say that, hey, I'm still a good storyteller, I'll follow these two techniques, then how do I become a successful storyteller? And how do I tell good stories in the interview? Well, the most important thing in telling a good story is your ability to bring a situation to life. Okay, what does that mean? Bringing a situation to life. If you are narrating your internship experience, you narrate it in a very detailed way, right? I don't mean that, hey, you go into the monologue. We actually discussed about that in the part 1 of this video. But what I mean is go into the specifics rather than keeping it at a generic level. For example, if the question is, hey, what was the challenge that you have faced in the last 1 year? The answer could be, hey, COVID has brought a lot of challenges at workplace, so we were not used for collaborative work, and now I took that initiative to basically get the team together and so that our productivity will continue to stay the same. Well, what is the challenge that you have faced? Right? You have to be very specific. You can say that in the initial months of the COVID, the challenge was the team was not coming together, and we were all used to working this way previously. So what I did, I made sure that we organized every single day a stand-up call. Every single day we had to have like 5 to 10 minutes of fun time, and these are the initiatives that you have taken. So if you want to be a good storyteller, as I mentioned, it is difficult in the interview context, but even if you still want to be a good storyteller, you need to make sure that that specific situation is super specific. You cannot keep things in a generic way and hope that the story will come out in a successful fashion. That is not going to happen. Be super specific, don't be generic if you want to be a good storyteller. Number 2, know exactly what you want to talk. Number 3, prepare well for these stories. Alright guys, I hope you remember all the 3 techniques. Number 1, content versus communication. It's not that, hey, one is important over the other, but please don't ignore communication aspect. Number 2, understanding interviewers. Whether it is a stress interview, whether it's a knowledge interview, you will learn a lot through it. Number 3, being a good storyteller. 3 things about it. Number 1, know what you want to speak. 2, practice it. Number 3, be specific and not generic. Hope this was helpful, guys. If you want me to make another video on interview preparation strategies, please do let me know. I'll probably start off with some basic interviewing preparation techniques, and then we can add on a few more advanced techniques as well. Thank you so much, guys, and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Take care.